We also need to seriously start thinking about what we want to do for episode 300.
Yeah, I guess we
close.
Do. We're a lot.
I'm assuming we can do like a stream day like we've done before.
Yeah,
that's always fun.
That'd be like maybe an extra long stream.
Yeah. I think we did like a half day one.
Finish Hitman.
Like a 6.
It'll take us 8 hours, which actually pretty doable.
Right. That's and a stream day like that. I feel like we definitely could probably knock that out.
That would be fun.
I'd be down for that. All right.
And maybe also do like a community Mario Kart hour
something
or like Crash
that.
Team Racing, something fun.
Play some good stuff that everybody likes.
Oh, if only Tekken 8 were already out.
God, I'm waiting for it. Yeah. I did see they announced the new Mortal Kombat 1 that's coming out in like
Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
They're going back in time.
It really is like a timeline reset kind of thing. It's like
oh my God.
a kind of like a new thing, and I'm into it. It looks really cool.
So I'm just imagining how fighter games were back in the day, like when Mortal Kombat literally came out, and how small the character rosters were.
Oh yeah, it was like
they had 6. Sometimes only 5 characters.
Very small.
If you had like 8, that was a lot. I feel like Tekken 3 only started with maybe 6 to 8 playable characters. Tekken 2, probably even fewer.
Yeah.
Tekken 1, I think, only had Nina. I'm just kidding. There was more people than that.
You just play against Nina.
It was just
in the
Nina
mirror shadow boxing.
There was just Nina and Heihachi. All the other people were not there. Oh boy, but like I'm imagining that Mortal Kombat 1 is going to be that.
I mean, it might
like
be,
they're like, no, only 8 characters, and we are not putting more out on paid DLC. This is all you're getting.
It looks pretty cool, especially there was like a really sick fatality at the end that Kung Lao, I think, I believe it's Kung Lao, because it's again I've played the games, but I'm not like totally sure on all the characters and stuff. Who the big bad is?
I know
Shang.
Sub-Zero. That's all I know.
Yeah, Sub-Zero and oh man, I'm blanking. But whoever the big bad is, I think it's like Shang-Chi. No, that's the 10 Rings. I don't know. Shao Kahn. Is that it? I don't remember. But anyway, I'll look it up.
That just makes me think of Shere Khan.
Shere Khan from anyway, I can't remember. The big bad gets like totally ripped in half by like a fire and ice dragon, and then like plummeted into the ground. It was badass.
Fire and ice dragon.
It was like 2 of them. They like
that
looped.
seems
It was like
a little extreme.
It looked really cool. But
oh boy.
All that to say that I did see then that Mortal Kombat 11, the previous version of the game, was like $5 on sale on PlayStation. I was like, do I? But then I knew I was gonna like eventually get Tekken 8, so I was kind of like, I don't know.
I don't know. I think I played Mortal Kombat 11 or 10. It was 10 or 11 at somebody else's house.
You probably played
Very
here. I know I had.
Oh, maybe I did.
It might have been like an extra life thing because I know I had 10. I have 10 as well.
And I remember being not enchanted.
Yeah, it's hard.
Mortal Kombat never really stuck with me.
It's definitely it definitely goes into like the more of the like heavier violent side, I feel like.
Which I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, same.
But
so
like
am I.
something about like just the play style. It's like the same problem that I have with Street Fighter. Like the quarter tilts.
Yes.
Fuck no. I'm a
Very
Tekken
hard.
stan.
Very hard. I need to practice that on my Tekken and stuff like that because I am looking forward to that because I do want to like dig into and really get into a fighter.
Honestly, you might as well just save it for Tekken 8.
That's what I mean.
Because of the new like systems that they're adding in.
Yeah.
Just start fresh. Get in there, learn the new style. Don't worry about the old stuff.
That's true. I should just do
Just
that.
like all of the Mishimas cast their predecessors into the pit. That's what we must do with our pasts. We must cast them away from us.
Shed your pasts and be ready for the present and to be able to take in this new episode of Team Chat Podcast.
Nice segue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome for that setup, Mo.
I know, that was great. That was perfect. Let's see, that's just what comes when you have almost done 300 episodes of the podcast together. You could just alley-oop them, set them up, knock them down. You know what I mean? That's like 2 different sports references all in one.
What's the alley-oop?
Alley-oop's basketball.
Oh.
And then setting them up and knocking them down, maybe it could, I mean, that could also be like, possibly. I would also say maybe volleyball. You're setting it up and putting it down. I don't know. Bowling?
The Wii Sports bowling?
Yeah, you're setting them up, you're knocking them down. Actually, so many different uses here. But hey, you can hear our terrible sports analogies here on Team Chat Podcast, along with our talk about video games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between, because that's what you're really here for, let's be honest. But new episodes of the show come out on Thursdays, and you can listen to those on podcast services around the World Wide Web, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and others. You can also watch a video version of each episode over on our YouTube channel. Links for all that are in the description below. You can also join us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also join our Discord server. My Face ID does not want to work, where we have a lot of great conversation when we're not here recording the show. And finally, if you want to help make the show bigger and better, you can head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, just like Super Saiyan Ace, Erica L, Elise F, Zach S, Mariah S, Susan M, James K, Michael B, Andrew M, Michael S, and Brandon W have done. They've gone over there for as little as $1 a month. And in return, we give you cool perks like in the episodes early before their general Thursday release, access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, and a lot of extra goodies and tidbits along the way. If you can't do that, that's totally fine. There's a lot of great free ways that you can support the show, such as subscribing, telling your friends, writing us a review wherever you're listening to, or watching the episodes. All that good stuff helps get the good word of Team Chat Podcast out there to the masses. And for each and every one of our patrons, viewers, and listeners alike, heart emoji. We love you all.
I started really slow that time.
That was a slow build. It didn't throw me off. It was great.
I started with just the one hand because I was like, maybe he won't notice.
That was just like the signal. It was like the bat signal starting to go up into the sky, and then here we are. But yeah, no, we have. We're not here today to talk about Mortal Kombat, even though that is what our initial segue is.
Yeah, fuck that game.
we were talking about like different fighters and stuff we were thinking about getting into and stuff like that. Tekken led to Mortal Kombat. Here we are. But today's topic is one that I'm super excited about. It's going to be really fun. Also, wait, small segue. Should we spend any time before we jump into our topic talking about, because we are getting into
Apple's fucking stupid new headset.
Yeah, that thing looks a little weird. It looks a little wild.
No, that's not even the thing itself. It's fucking like $3,800.
So expensive.
It's like, are you
it's so funny. Like right now, we're having a conversation in the Discord talking about like gaming on a Mac and stuff like that. And Bro Mogan came in with the killer.
You 1%ers with your $3,000 laptop.
Yeah, and it's like now it's onto a whole new level.
It really is.
It's a face mat or a VR headset,
like
I guess,
one
or
of the
AR
best
headset.
Desktop PC gaming builds you could possibly make. Do you have any idea how much PC you can get for even just $3,000?
Yeah.
And the stupid Apple headset is like, I think the price point is going to be 36 some odd.
Yeah, it's
something
up
like
there.
that.
It's up there.
And it's like, bitch, for technology you didn't even invent.
Right. I do
It
like
is ridiculous.
I do like the semi-transparent screen of it, where it looks like you might be able to actually wear it and still walk around in the real world. That looks a little like interesting in that regard.
Rejected.
I do love the meme though that is like from the video of the announcement of the woman sitting in her house wearing the headset, but it's like the only thing in her room is a chair, and somebody made the meme was like she had to sell everything else to afford this headset.
I mean, really, just the incredible audacity of making a product at that price point for the public, air quotes, in this literal economy is so tone deaf.
It's out there.
I can't even believe it.
No.
It is incredibly just like, it's now is not the moment.
It's literally the Arrested Development quote from the mom where she's like, "What could a banana cost, Michael? $10?"
It really is. How much could a headset cost? $10?
Oh man!
I never thought that I would be able to heap praise upon Meta, but it's like the Oculus is like
cheap.
Significantly less expensive than that.
I mean, if you're in there too, like throw the PSVR 2 is also like a super expensive. You know, isn't it?
Oh boy!
Another like $5. I mean, it's more than the Quest and like all that stuff, but I'm not exactly sure on the price point of that one.
I cannot wait for people to walk into like their walls or a door jam with the headset on, crack it, and then because Apple hates right to repair, they have to take it back to Apple, and the repair for that screen will be what? $10? Probably more.
To be fair, you know, if you have the Apple Care and stuff like that, which I mean that's extra price on top of it, but still that gets you a few. I believe last time I had to buy it was like 3 years. I think for like is how long it'll actually last you. Decent amount of time for a electronic, but if you're out of that, no, I agree. I pity you because like I broke the screen on an old Apple Watch I had, and I went to go replace it, and it was gonna be like as much as a new Apple Watch.
That
so this
screen is about 1 inch by 2 inches, not even 2 inches. It's like one and a half by 1.5.
This is like one of the old ones, like a Series 4 or
oh
something.
My
like
God.
It's old. It's not like one of the new ones, and it still was going to be that much crazy.
Absolutely shameful.
But this wasn't the intent. The original
we were going to talk
tangent
about. I just
of this.
had to bring it up.
But no, it is like I was going to say like if we had any thoughts from the PlayStation showcase from last week, because we are getting into that E3 territory, or what was supposed to have been E3 territory. R.I.P. Because, like, for example, will have already happened by the time this episode comes out, but yesterday is Devolver Digital's showcase.
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
It's
tomorrow.
Okay, I was about to say, what the fuck? I missed it?
So you will have that. And then there's
that one
also...
I'm actually looking forward to.
Sunday, June 11th, is the Xbox Showcase. And then I know that, of course, we'll have like Ubisoft, Bethesda, or Bethesda, I guess, will be part of Xbox now.
Oh, it's got to be like Starfield the whole time, right?
It's got to be. So basically that was the thing. Like, was there anything from that thing that really jumped out as being like really exciting? Anything like there that we should spend time on? Or do we just want to go ahead and jump into our main topic?
And
we can like collect all E3 or showcase season thoughts into one episode.
They're making it so much more complicated than it has to be.
I know.
So I will say this. To be perfectly honest, I remember exceptionally little from the showcase at all. The one game that, I feel like that's telling. The one game that I remember being like, oh, fuck yes, new Grease game.
Yes.
Never.
There was a studio. Yeah, Grease is the studio behind Grease, Studio Nomada, I believe, is doing a new game. Looks fantastic.
That's phenomenal. It's got a very similar like visual style to it.
I really thought it was going to be Grease too.
Yeah, but no, it's called Neva or Neva.
Yeah,
Neva.
It looks really good. Also that game company, the Journey developers are also have a new game.
Okay, that too. That was the other
fantastic.
one that I was jazzed about. If only because it means another Austin Wintory soundtrack.
Right?
Oh my god!
You know you're in for a good time with that.
We're gonna live, everybody.
Oh, for sure. Because especially if it like hits the same tones and stuff as Journey soundtrack. Oh my god! I still need to listen to his one for the Pathless, the game that's on the PS5 where it's like the hunter with her falcon and stuff. Need to play it and need to listen to his music.
I also want to play that one.
It looks really good. But no, there's a couple. That one was good. The one that I'm super excited about actually is Bungie's new game that they're announcing, the Marathon.
Okay, so I guess this was. I don't know much about Bungie outside of Halo and Destiny.
Yes.
Yeah, and Destiny. So I had no idea that they had a game before Halo.
Yeah, it was pre Halo. It's called Marathon, and I think it's very similar. I actually had it on a demo, like a disc that was like a collection of
disc.
It was actually a full on CD. This one,
a CD.
But yeah, but like of different games and stuff that to try out, just like one level demos and different stuff like that. And one of them was Marathon, and so I remember like playing through that first one. And I played it on my Mac, keeping it with the times.
Point for Mac users.
And
do you remember when we used to do
Halo
point for?
Oh man, we should bring that back.
Oh my god, we used to have the board.
Oh my god.
Oh, we should work that into the 300th episode somehow.
We should definitely.
We got to bring the board back. Greatest hits.
And so like the Marathon one coming back, I was just like, holy shit! Like they're bringing it back. It's a new. It's not even like I don't even think a continuation of the series. It's kind of like a reinventation or like just a new entry with obviously completely updated things. It looked like at that one I was like, holy shit, that's really cool, especially to see what Bungie's going to do post Destiny. I mean, not even post Destiny, in conjunction with Destiny.
I was about to say Destiny will never
Destiny
end.
is not ending and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was pretty cool to see too. A couple other ones like Dragon's Dogma is getting a sequel as well. That one looks really cool. That looks fun too. Looks Souls-esque. Kirok was really excited about that one.
So actually, the biggest comparison that I've heard for Dragon's Dogma is that if nothing else, it's more like Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
A lot of people describe it as being sort of Monster Hunter adjacent, but a little bit less, I guess, over the top.
Would you call Monster Hunter over the top?
A little bit. So I'm really not invested in the Dragon's Dogma series, but I was just surprised to see that it got a sequel. So you know what? Speaking of Arrested Development, good for her. Good for Dragon's Dogma that they got another one.
Yeah. And there was another game that I'm completely blanking on the name of it now, but it was a more samurai. Oh, Phantom Blade. Phantom Blade Zero. That game looked really sweet too. So quite a few good ones to come out of it.
We were all joking while the showcase was happening. The one game, now that we're talking more about it, I'm remembering more of the sequence of events.
I also absolutely dropped this on her as we started and myself.
Yeah, we were just like,
sorry.
The shameless ripoff.
This is what I wanted to talk about. I knew there was a reason. This is it. Yes.
The shameless ripoff of Splatoon.
Foam Stars.
Oh my god, such an incredibly stupid title for a game. So the whole point of Splatoon is that you are 4v4 teams in turf battle, and you basically have to paint the stage with ink. That's where the splat comes from. You make goo, ink out of your gun, it splat on ground.
Well, you're also like squids.
Everybody wins.
You're
squids. It makes total sense. Foam Stars is like when you accidentally, one time when you were a kid, put dishwashing liquid into your washing machine, like trying to help your mom, right? And then it turns on and the whole kitchen is just awash with foam.
Nah.
That's what it looks like. It is so... The moves, the specials, blatant ripoffs of Splatoon.
It really
moves.
does look like it. I've thought of the perfect analogy for it. Foam Stars is the live-action Disney adaptation of Splatoon.
Because on top of that's such a good comparison. Because on top of being,
I know Little Mermaid is performing well. More talking about like some of the older ones, like Lion King, that didn't do as well.
On top of being such a shameless ripoff, I won't say necessarily that it looks bad because it's definitely fun. It's colorful. They're clearly leaning heavily onto the Splatoon demographic. Of like, hey, it's a battle game, but it's also kid friendly. Yeah. That's obviously what Splatoon was all about. Nintendo's direction overall. So they're leaning into that, but it's a lot more sort of anime styled.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Fortnite mixed with Splatoon, like Fortnite visuals, but just copy paste Splatoon into it. No, thank you.
It was interesting. It was just like, it was literally that old joke too of like, okay, copy my homework, but change it a little bit. And it's like, they didn't even do that. I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there are battle royale games and different battle royale games in the same genre, but like they all look and feel somewhat different, I would say, and like identifiable as the other. And granted, yes, like I know the art styles and stuff aren't exactly one-to-one match of Foam Stars to Splatoon, but you still look at them, gameplay, like finishers, like you're saying, and you're like,
if I'm remembering correctly, one of them looked like just a carbon copy of the Killer Whale, a special from Splatoon 1. And I was like, those fucking bastards. And one of them was like
they don't know who they're pissing off.
The bubbler. I forget what the special is called, but it's like a roll bubble and then it explodes.
Oh,
I think that was in the trailer too. And I was like, those fuckers.
It's very similar.
It was just, I can't believe that Nintendo isn't, maybe they are. Maybe they're like, drop the lawyers. This cannot stand.
Maybe so, but like that was crazy to see, and I do remember being like, "What
so
is
stupid.
This?" But anyway, good stuff coming out of that PlayStation showcase. The more we talked about it, at least. But
the only one that matters is Neva from the Grease team.
That one does look.
It's probably gonna rule. We're probably gonna cry.
The soundtrack's gonna make us feel things too. It's gonna be a good time.
Actually, the trailer almost made me cry.
It was emotional in and of itself.
Like, oh God,
Grease. It was a hard game. It was kind of a gut punch.
They're always just coming at you. Jeez, with
trying
those
to make you feel things.
Feels
I want to play games to have fun, not to cry. That's why my favorite games are The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. No tears in those games ever.
None. You could describe it as a joyride from start to finish.
Absolutely. But this topic, actually, our main topic, is going to be one that I think is a joyride from start to finish.
Yes.
Because we are taking a suggestion from a friend of the show, Ark, and talking about some of our favorite comedic games.
Yes. So if you've ever put a show topic in the Show Topics channel and you're like, that was 8 years ago, don't worry.
Never get to it.
We still we sit on those and we just wait for them. So Ark's suggestion is best comedic games, and she has some specifications about that, which I actually really appreciated. So
helps us narrow it down a little bit.
She goes on to specify games where humor is the primary focal point. Because when we originally were in the chat, just the two of us, and we were like, hey,
That's all right.
Good heavens. And we were like, hey, should we actually do best comedic games? I didn't immediately go back and read the prompt. I just started thinking about games that I was going to talk about. And then I went back and read the prompt and I was like, oh, never mind. I am thinking too broadly about this. I need to focus back in because I was thinking about things that were sort of unintentionally hilarious. But this is like, no, it has to be the point of it. So primary focal point either through physical comedy or plenty of funny dialogue and plotline concepts. Not necessarily games that have some funny moments or to be entirely gimmicky in its humor and thus limited, like Angry Birds. Good examples of physical comedy would be Untitled Goose Game.
Good one.
Dialogue-wise, maybe Hotful Boyfriend. And why am I only thinking of bird-related titles?
That's the pigeon dating one, right?
Which is funny on its own. It can also have dark humor as well. If the game has an absurd plot point, that's a bonus, and a couple of others that she could think of that would fit the concept West of Loathing, Goat Simulator. That's a good one. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
I do remember that.
I've played that on mobile. And
I actually haven't played it yet, but the name itself is great.
It's very funny. Honestly, if you can find it on mobile, you can find it on mobile. It's extremely cheap.
Oh, okay.
It's cheaper than anywhere else. It plays just as good on mobile. And it's, I think, start to finish, it only took like 3 to 4 hours because it is an official game, but it's also on mobile. Anyways, Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is hysterical. The Stanley Parable, which I have never played, but I've heard so much about.
I've heard about that game a lot. And that's the one that has like the trophy that's like if you boot it up like 5 years after you finish it or something like that.
You get a trophy.
You get a trophy, but like I didn't understand that game was supposed to be a funny one, like as a comedy game.
I've heard that it's definitely got like a lot of humor hard baked into it, but that it's also really surreal in a lot of its aspects. I've intentionally never looked that close into it because I've always wanted to play it. So I'm like, no, I want to go in blind. I don't want to know that much about it, so unfortunately I can't really comment super accurately on that.
Right.
And then I Love You, Colonel Sanders, the KFC dating sim.
I completely forgot that was even a thing.
So me and Ark are old Splatoon buddies. Speaking of Splatoon, call back to the Splat
Perfect
1 days.
Segue.
So we actually played, like me, her, and a couple of our other old Splat crew as a group, played and streamed I Love You, Colonel Sanders together. So fun.
That's fun.
Obviously very like, it is product placement. A corporation made it.
Sure.
But they understood the assignment.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, and Colonel Sanders was hot. So yeah, just like that chicken, right?
Was there buff Colonel Sanders?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you never see him?
I never saw it.
Hot
I
Colonel
completely
Sanders.
missed that.
Hold up. You put a picture of this man up on the screen while we're doing this. No, not that one. Yes, this one. Okay. So, why is it tiny?
So tiny.
Okay, there we go. They turned him into like a hot anime husbando. Incredible. He's like ripped and just amazing. Everybody should go play I Love You, Colonel Sanders. Oh boy, everybody likes that. Okay, so that is her suggestion.
Very good, very good. So yeah, so we've got the old hamster wheels a turn in the mind to start thinking of which games would hit that. And as you reread the description, I might have to make some adjustments to my list on the fly.
Why?
Just because of ones that, well, I don't know. I think they work.
Oh, because of the parameters of the question.
No, they work because it's not. One of them doesn't work. Because I did have one on my list that I put on here as an unintentionally funny.
Oh, is it one of the many Nancy Drew games?
No, no. It's one we have played recently, though.
Ooh. Unintentionally funny? Ewok Hunt.
No, that was unintentionally boring. Sorry, everybody. But you were close. I was going to say Hitman.
Oh.
Just because, playing it together on stream, like how we're doing it, I'm sure maybe if you're by yourself playing the game, just, going about trying to get some checkpoints to complete some of the challenges, you're not laughing your ass off like we were. But us playing this game together on stream, comedy fest.
Just a riot.
It was a good time.
I agree with that assessment, though, because I think that in the case of specifically Hitman, it is so dependent on the player.
Yes.
Because theoretically, we could have played Hitman as like the straight man. We could have been straight-laced, all business, gone in there.
I mean, he does wear a suit.
Yeah, gone in there, shot the target or done whatever, and then clean got back out instead of, I'll put the flamingo suit on, stand right in the middle of the lobby, kill a man, pretend like it wasn't me, and then when everybody else catches on, I'll shoot him in the face and die.
Right, and then, and of course, like when we played the sniper side thing and like the ragdoll physics of that. So I will remove that one and won't spend much more time on it, but I did want to give that one as
Hitman is honorable mention.
It's been very good lately for both of us and been hitting really well.
If you need a good time in your life, just go play Hitman and don't play it seriously.
To be the place where you'd find a source of joy,
is so
but
funny.
It works. So since I already flubbed it with having a not good pick, why don't you redeem it with what is one of your favorite comedic games?
The one that I'm going to talk about that is extremely obvious, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it again. I'll give you a hint. It's been number 1 on my top 10 list.
Oh, shit.
Come on, Jarrett. We've been doing this shit for 8 years.
I know, but there's so many things we've talked about.
Jarrett, come on. We bring it up all the time. Ooh, we tried to stream it and failed.
Portal. Portal 2.
Yep,
Portal 2.
Got it.
Wheatley and Gladys.
So here's the thing.
GLaDOS.
Yes, I say Gladys. Who's got
That's
time
why I say
to
Gladys.
pronounce the O? So yes, I definitely want to talk about Portal 2 because in terms of the intentionally funny dialogue, I feel like Portal 2 is perhaps the exemplary example, not only of good comedic writing, because a lot of games have in-game written content that is super funny to read, and sometimes the tutorials can be humorous.
Like a note from an NPC to another NPC gives you a chuckle.
Yeah, actually, before I went back and read the specific parameters, I was going to talk about a lot of the random items you can find in Control. Because some of them in context of the game were so fucking funny to me.
Yep.
Like the one guy and the book club, and like you get the one letter and then, I think it's a memo. It's like an in-house memo about the book club. And then later you keep finding more shit about the book club and it gets funnier and funnier.
I think I missed those. But I do remember the video, Brandon shared it in the Discord of Dr. Darling's
so
that song
funny.
music video that they do.
All of the Dr. Darling live action videos were hysterical, but that wasn't necessarily the point.
Overall,
right?
Control very serious game.
Control was a very serious game, so I was like, oh, that kind of disqualifies it.
Yeah.
But in terms of intentional both in-game writing and more specifically genuinely funny script writing, I feel like that is where Portal 2 truly shines, because how many games have you played where in-game dialogue, the scripts, were so cringe that it made your skin crawl? Or worse, that it just made you roll your eyes and go, oh my God, this is so lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them. There are a lot of really lame games out there.
Rage 2.
Rage 2.
Rage 2.
Not just the backup. Anytime we need a bad game, time to shit on Rage 2.
It really is.
But yeah, so Portal 2's dialogue, I think, is absolutely stellar. And people always talk about the Wheatleys of the world.
Yep.
Wheatley is basically the anti-GLaDOS, at least at the beginning of the game, spoiler alert, in that he is very high energy, very peppy, very like, oh, haha, there you are, let's go get you on your merry way into the, what are they called? Test zones. Yes. I don't know what they're called. I swear I've played
Portal
the game.
chambers.
The portal chambers, sure.
Well, isn't Wheatley Stephen Merchant?
Yes, he is.
No.
So obviously
great.
Stephen Merchant's voice alone does a really good job of conveying a lot of that humor, but the dialogue in and of itself is extremely funny. GLaDOS as well, the nature of her character, she is the evil robot. She's the bad guy. She was the bad guy from the first game. She comes back in Portal 2, is still really evil, but for reasons that, for XYZ reasons that happen in-game, she is sort of robbed of her functional menace.
Sure.
She's still very menacing, but she can't really hurt you anymore. So her dialogue is all meant to be extremely, just exceptionally sarcastic, biting, scathing. She is trying to do the most emotional damage to you as possible, even though she is a non-emotional robot,
right,
theoretically speaking. But the character that I think has the absolute... you know who it is. You know who it is. We've talked about him before. Ages ago.
Yeah, a
long time ago.
Pretty sure a Zach episode.
It was, yes, that was a Zach episode. Fucking J.K. Simmons as Cave Johnson.
So good.
When you get to the point in the game where you basically fall through the surface level experiment zone and into what is considered old Aperture, like the sort of 1950s-esque sci-fi golden era Aperture science, you start finding all of these recordings from Cave Johnson, the original scientist and head of Aperture. And his in-game dialogue does two very important things. One, it sheds a lot of light on the lore of Portal 2. It gives you a lot of insight into well, why did we pick this thing? What's this stuff?
Right.
What are the portals made of? Or more specifically, what are the walls made of that they have to go on for the portal to work? Because you probably remember portals don't work on every surface.
Right.
They only work on those very specific white ones. Why is that? Cave Johnson's dialogue explains a lot of that. And on top of that very, very important functionality and lore building and world building by extension, his J.K. Simmons' delivery and the dialogue itself is so fucking funny. He has so many good ones, it's impossible to pick just one.
Well, and J.K. Simmons is like the master of being able to deliver a biting one-liner.
He is so funny. He is one of the... Never leave us, J.K. Simmons. Don't do it. Just stay alive forever. Right? After Lance Reddick, we can't take another one.
No. We did have another one. Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
Knife to the heart.
Don't talk about it. So Portal 2, I think, is one of the funniest games on planet Earth. I think that its dialogue and its in-game writing holds up like the Holy Grail. It will never expire. You can go back at any time, watch a playthrough of Portal 2, play it yourself, and have an absolute blast. Get a stitch in the side, perhaps, from how much jolly good laughter you're having as you play through it because of all the good characters and all the extremely good comedy writing.
Nice.
So Portal 2 is definitely one of my top choices for that category.
Well, I have to like piggyback off of that same point for this of the like good script writing, the hilarious script writing, and everything for my pick. Because it's the exact same thing. Like the whole game at itself, you look at it and you're just like, okay, I don't understand how this could necessarily be funny. But then also when you look at it is funny once you start playing it. But the game in question is Borderlands. Its writing and everything is also just like that. There are just weird, crazy. It honestly, like I was going back and looking at some of the funny quotes and whatever from across the whole series, even though I've only played Borderlands 1. But it really is just like they just like threw shit in a like
Blender
or Chat GPT, this is like pre-Chat GPT, but they were just like, hey, we need a bunch of like crazy voice lines that make no sense but kind of make sense.
Oh, it's kind of like ad libs.
Yeah, it really just is like some crazy shit that they strained together for these like just either NPC dialogue lines as you're like walking through the worlds, because Borderlands is an open world RPG, first person shooter RPG, first person like loot shooter RPG and everything. Very fun. It's like it has like billions of guns, it says, because those really are
billions.
Like a gun generator. So it's like when you find like a thing, it like will create something. So it's like these very random things like that.
Has nobody tried that in Chat GPT yet? Has nobody been make me a new gun and had it spit out schematics?
You probably maybe, but you don't want to. I don't know.
I'm using dark Chat GPT.
But still, it's just like that's just how all this was. The world of Borderlands, the whole point of that one, at least Borderlands 1, is that there's this ancient, or the legend tells of like this ancient vault on this planet Pandora that has been discovered. So treasure hunters from the galaxy over are coming to try to unearth it. Well, Pandora itself is like home to a vast collection of characters, and apparently the hunt for this vault has been going on for years and years and years. So like there's this faction that lives on Pandora called the Psychos that are really just like vault hunters who have gone insane over time, and like they kind of like feel like they maybe have cannibalistic tendencies. They're just wild and crazy and like say some crazy shit. But then you also have characters like the friendly robot Claptrap, who
Claptrap just always sounds like an STD to me.
I'm pretty sure that's the point.
Yeah. And
Good so heavens. It's like his lines are always super funny and well written. But I did go to like the Borderlands subreddit just to like see if there was a collection of some other great lines, and I just have to read a selection.
Some sick one-liners?
Yeah,
hit me with those sick one-liners.
This is I liked a lot of these, but this is from user Oriwa Cookie, who says, here's a list of some of my favorites. I like my enemies how I like my coffee, in the butt.
Good heavens!
Anyway, the moral is, you're a total bitch. Or, I wonder what it's like to have a belly button.
Oh, is that from one of the robots?
Maybe. I have the shiniest meat bicycle. Blake, where's a bloody violin? Domo arigato, suck ass.
I like that one.
So a lot of other stuff. It's just like, it's between the like crazy zany world, and originally it was one of the ones that was like, oh, does this fit? But I think it does.
It's almost a little more slapstick.
It is.
By leaning really hard into how incredibly over the top it is.
Yes. I mean, the character designs are also like over the top. You also have characters like Tiny Tina, who is like a little kid who is like maniacal and crazy, played by Ashley Birch, and just like has a lot of like also like crazy one-liners just because she just wants to like blow stuff up and make mayhem happen. And it's just all these characters and like that you run across, every single one of them is crazy and weird in its own different way, but all the lines you're just laughing to yourself the whole time you play it. So for very similar reasons of like what you're saying with Portal 2, I feel like Borderlands has to be up there just for its sheer comedic qualities throughout.
Good choice.
So what's one though that you would say it veers, if you had one for your second choice or whatever like that is maybe more in like the physical comedy realm?
So actually so full disclosure, again, I did not fully read Ark's prompt when you were like, hey, we should do this one. So this is real. In my wizard notes, I wrote down 2 games first.
Okay.
Guess what they were?
Were they ones that she said?
Give you a hint, they both feature birds.
Untitled Goose Game and How to Tell Boyfriend?
I I really did. I was like, Goose Game, #1. So I was going to talk about Goose Game, and I'm definitely still going to talk about Hatoful Boyfriend, because just saying those words, if you haven't seen the one episode ages ago,
long time ago,
where I talked about it, you have no idea what that is. More people are probably likely to know what Untitled Goose Game is, but even then, it's kind of a niche indie game.
Yeah.
And by kind of a niche indie game, I mean you play as a goose and you menace a town. So really, there are kind of two that fit into that category that I will touch on a little bit more briefly, because they both fall into this, I guess, physical comedy category. So Untitled Goose Game first. But I'm not entirely sure that I think physical comedy is the right way to describe what's so funny about it.
It's more like mayhem, right?
It's more like mayhem, and it's so where I think Goose Game does such a good job is in total contrast to Portal 2, where all of the humor comes from the writing and the dialogue. Untitled Goose Game has zero writing, zero dialogue. Mm-hmm. There is nothing in-game that is written except for what is on your checklist. And the checklist is just items. You know, they don't really go that much more into it. There's no, like, hidden humor in the margins, is what I'm trying to say. So the goose itself, I think, is where sort of the physical humor aspect comes in the fact that, first of all, you can honk.
Right?
That's incredible. Press A to honk.
I mean, geese are kind of already like nature's little terrors. So it's like, you know.
What I texted Bro Mogan when we were talking about this, because he was air quotes, helping me think of
called out, damn.
He did think of Undertale, which is very funny, but I wasn't sure that I could really comment on Undertale super well. My argument for Goose Game was obviously Goose Game because geese were created by God to be Earth's humor criminals, which is so true in Untitled Goose Game. So Untitled Goose Game, you play as a goose. You live in this tiny, tiny town that kind of looks like very small town UK or Britain, but I think the game developers are from Australia. Oh. So maybe it's small town Australia. Who knows? It looks prim and proper is what I mean to say. They have a beautiful water feature pond. They have a very handsome little community garden full of like carrots and pumpkins and stuff. They have a charming little pub with darts. I assume people play that. Oh, and the ring toss. Toss, yep.
Great yard game.
Yeah, everybody loves that. So all of these different sort of set pieces, you could say, for the goose to go into and wreak havoc. So you can terrorize townspeople by doing your honking. You can flap your wings real big and kind of scare them, and they're like, oh, God. And if you're a human person that has ever encountered a goose in real life, you understand that that's a threat, and that geese are not to be trifled with. So you already know they're literally menacing in real life, and then you put that into the context of the game of this goose is stealing my rake out of my garden, and I can like kind of scare him off, but also I'm scared of him as the old gardener. So the comedy is you as Goose literally wreaking havoc on the townspeople is hilarious all on its own. That's where sort of the physical comedy comes from. But I think the more impressive comedic aspects of it are sort of what I guess I would call like the environmental comedy of it. Sure. The environmental, I guess storytelling, the environmental storytelling, because what the game doesn't tell you at first is that this goose has been and will continue to be a menace for eons, perhaps. And the way that the game sort of subtly implies that to you, not even implies, the game tells you that is that when you get to any given area and you successfully terrorize it, you check off all the terror items on your terror list of terror attacks, and then you go on your way, or you basically get finally kicked out of that area for good. Yeah. The person that's attached to that area, or the people attached to that area, will come out and put down no geese allowed signs. The implication, of course, being they already had those. They had those no geese allowed signs pre-made.
They knew they were going to be a
problem.
So
they knew that there was going to be trouble. People know about the goose. It is clearly a problem in this town. Like, it's probably the only problem they face. And they have to always be vigilant. They have to always be ready. And I feel like that element of non-verbal storytelling and comedy is really effective.
I also feel that it's funny in that it shows their hubris in that they thought a sign that says no geese on it would actually keep the goose out.
Well, to be fair, it's not written in English. It's just like the classic red
well, I know, but
sign.
still, that would care at all to a geese. You know what I mean? Oh, we
There
don't
we
have
go.
to have that on if we know
It
how,
helps
but
me.
It is kind of nice,
I
right?
like when it's just the black screen and my eyes have nowhere to go. I don't enjoy that.
Interesting.
So, anyways.
Interesting. Learning more. This
The
is great for
other,
everything.
not a bird.
Oh, this light turned blue.
Jesus.
I forgot that's on an automation for 7, I guess. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the cue for I'm blue, da ba dee da ba die. Anyways, the other game that I want to briefly touch on, again, another old pull from a long time ago that I think leans very heavily into that physical comedy aspect is and people will know this genre, any game with air quotes physics. And the one specifically that I'm thinking of is good old Snake Pass. Do you remember Snake Pass? Oh, this was a long time ago, Jared.
Wait. Maybe?
Yeah, you might recognize it if I show it to you.
Is it like the art is like a snake, like big and smiley on the front?
Yes,
okay,
it's a
okay.
big smile. It gives off strong DK vibes.
Nice.
And the music from it,
Also David Wise?
it is.
Oh
Yeah. I think that's why we've talked about
That
it
probably
before.
is. That sounds familiar
Yeah.
now.
I think I was playing Snake Pass and I may have done, look at that little
okay,
smiling.
yes,
Look
I
at this,
absolutely
look at
remember
this,
this.
fellas. What a cute little snake. So the snake's design in and of itself is extremely funny. You're sort of the coloring of a coral snake, but you have this extremely oversized face and huge comedic eyes because obviously you don't want the snake to feel threatening to children,
Right.
which is a concern. Many children are afraid of snakes. But that's not really what makes the game so funny. The humor comes from the snake's physics because I think it was the platformer series.
Yes.
Because Snake Pass was my example of a platformer with no jumping.
Yes.
The defining feature of most platformers. So as a game that is a platformer with no jumping, the movements of the snake are what define the gameplay. It is also what defines the humor. Because the snake have no arm, have no leg, have no ability to do a grippy or a hold, other than with what his little body can manage to like curl around the things in the environment. And the process of finagling the snake into the various positions that you need him to be in to get to the end of the level are in and of themselves extremely funny. The other things that are funny about it are when you fail at that. Because when the snake just kind of unceremoniously falls off the map and he's just kind of like, bleh, it's extremely funny to watch him flop around. So that's a great example, I think, of physical humor, or more specifically, physics humor.
Nice.
But there are 10,000 of those games.
Oh, yeah.
Super Bunny Man, Grippy Hands Arm Game. Boy, oh boy, I don't remember.
Grippy Hands Arm Game.
It's relatively newer. You're like little blob heads that only have arms, and you have to like grab each other's hands to like sling around the...
I don't know what that one is.
You might recognize it. It
blanking.
was really popular right when it came out because it was fucking hilarious. I don't remember what it's called.
It, like briefly kind of sounds familiar.
Anyways,
but I can't quite put a
my point
finger on
being, you could cast a stone into the Steam store and most likely hit it. Oh, like Getting Over It. Getting Over Its humor is in the hilarious physics and how janky it is to play that game.
That was actually going to be one of my next my next picks was a more physics based humor one, and it's one that I've like been meaning to talk about for forever on the show, but just haven't had a chance to because it's it's called Moving Out. And what it is it's basically, it's very Overcooked-esque in the way where, which also, fun game, funny moments, but not like a comedic game. This game is very much that because you're basically playing as a moving company, but you're like terrible at it is the whole gimmick. You're actually, I'm blanking now on what
it's already funny.
and it's even funnier when you realize that like you are called as a mover once you get like your designation in this company, you're a fart. Is what the like is what like the acronym that for you stands for, and so like there's always like fart jokes throughout the whole thing.
Functional assist,
now I have to
targeting. Look it up because I gotta know what could that possibly. Oh, furniture acquirement.
Okay, but if also side note, if you Google fart moving out like I did, you also get the recommended search. Why do I fart when I move? I don't know.
Built-in humor.
Okay, so you are a fart which is I definitely should have looked this up before.
Please let it start with an F.
Furniture Arrangement Relocation Technician.
Furniture Arrangement Relocation Technician. A very believable acronym, which makes it that much more funny.
So this game was actually suggested for me and Sam to play by my friend Jordan, who recommended Life is Strange to me. So I was immediately like, okay, sure, I'll give this a shot and check this out. And she also was saying that it was very similar to Overcooked and all that, knew that we would like it. And we did. We blazed through that game so fast. But the whole point is like you're these movers, but it's almost like your characters are made of elastic and the gravity is like turned off just a little bit.
Oh, so it's a little floaty?
You're a little floaty, and like you take off running, your character kind of like flings back behind you and like takes a minute for their bodies and their arms and everything to catch up.
Ragdolly.
You grab onto stuff and it will like you can like pull it. Like say you're grabbing a refrigerator from the kitchen, it's still plugged into the wall. So you pull and pull and pull, it's still plugged in and like giving you resistance, and then it's finally like unplugs and then you kind of like spin and twirl throughout the room and everything, knocking stuff over. You can throw shit through windows. You can there are certain challenges like not to break certain items, but obviously that's incredibly hard to do. But also there's a mechanic when there's an item that's too big for just one person to be able to pick up, you have to have two people.
Fun.
And then you have to like somehow coordinate picking up this item, heaving it backwards, and then like throwing it in the right direction and angle and speed, like all these different things. And so it's just like this constant, just basically, like if you just, it kind of looks like if you unleashed a bunch of the like car lot guys who are in the like the air, have like the air thing,
wacky waving inflatable arms, man.
It's kind of like those guys, but as movers.
Car lot guys.
But it's because just how their movements are also random and all over the place. It's a very fun game, but because it is so physics based, like the weight of these items, the heaving of it, it's just you're tripping all over yourself the whole time you're playing it because all this stuff is just so hectic. But it's a super fun game. Has some actually like very hard levels and puzzling in it too. So it's not like necessarily a walk in the park sometimes on some of the levels, but very fun. Would definitely recommend it being like a 2-player co-op game. We should definitely play it on stream sometime.
I was about to say, Jared, why haven't we played this on stream?
We've had too much Hitman to do.
Oh, too much guacamole. That's the real problem.
It's so like, which perfect segue. That was another one that I was going to talk about, but I also kind of realized that maybe that one doesn't fit. But I'll get to my reasons for that one a little bit. But no, just moving out is just one that like you'll laugh because you like did something dumb, obviously, but then you also just laugh at how insane the whole thing is. And it's just so zany. Obviously fart jokes aplenty because of the names and everything. It's just a great time. So I definitely go check out Moving Out. Moving Out 2 is supposed to be coming out soon. Maybe this year, I think is what they're thinking. But anyway, same developer or same publisher as Overcooked and everything, so it does have a similar feel, somewhat similar feel to that.
Maybe that'll be at the Devolver Deluxe thingy tomorrow.
That'd be great.
They don't do.
Oh no, it's Team 17.
Team 17.
Who does Overcooked and Moving Out and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean Devolver also funny games aplenty. But I did want to see dark and funny games. Cult of the Lamb, anyone?
Dark humor is their bread and butter.
It really is. Their directs or their like showcases are some of the zaniest shit you will ever see.
Nobody else is putting in the effort that they do.
No. And like I remember the year that one game of theirs, Carrion?
Yeah.
Came out, they made like a real life meatball monster of whatever the fuck that creature is supposed to be, and like had it in their directs and like ate their presenters and stuff. It was so ridiculous. Funny. It was crazy.
Nobody else is committing to practical effects more than Devolver Digital.
Of like game developers and publishers and stuff like that, I would love to work for Devolver.
We could have like done ranking all of the publishers by how funny they are, and
that's what we should have done.
That actually is a good idea.
Part 2 to this episode.
Part 2 ranking. I mean, Blizzard, those cards with all their sexual harassment lawsuits, so funny. No, they would obviously be in the F tier.
Right, for sure. But I did want to also talk about as another one that Guacamelee I did want to include and talk about on this one. While also not necessarily all the time you're playing it laugh out loud funny game, it's funny due to it more of its side pieces and its side things. For my example, I was going to say like it's like Easter egg reference funny because like there was like fighting posters with like a Boba Fett luchador mask. There was even like I want to say like a Street Fighter or some kind of like fighter-esque. There was the whole like meme timeline in Guacamelee 2 that was just like
that was
off
really
of, like
funny.
the Me Gustas of like 2010s internet, you know, where Icon has cheeseburger humor.
The lolcats.
lolcats.
The old stuff.
So like all that stuff. So
These young gamers
I know,
wouldn't even get the
over their heads. How many of our listeners are like, what?
what now?
But
all of our listeners are old, Jared.
oh, I know, and that's what it's so good. But they get our weird humor that we call back from. But yeah, so no, like so that's why I was also kind of like, I don't know if this one necessarily.
No, I think it
fits.
totally counts
Okay.
because in addition to the sort of meme culture humor that the game hard bakes in, I think that Guacamelee's overall tone.
Well, its name is Guacamelee.
It's called Guacamelee, and everything about the situation, you're battling a guy that's trying to make the perfect guacamole.
You're right.
It's
what was I
funny.
thinking? This game absolutely
It's very
fits.
funny. Like it is supposed to, everything about it is hilarious. You're sensei.
The chickens.
For
Oh my god, how did I forget the chickens?
The chickens are so fucking
the
funny.
gameplay of the chickens by themselves is classic.
Yeah, Jared, I can't believe you doubted for a second.
I don't
that
know
this
what was
one
wrong with me.
What is it? Have we unlocked the key to comedic video game success? Is it just to put a bird in your game?
I think so. You can do zany shit with a bird.
Do you remember that meme? Put a bird on it? From Portlandia?
No.
Oh, it was a long, long time ago. Yeah, Portlandia, like a very, very niche, I want to say maybe web series. I don't remember what it was.
I want to say it was the channel.
But it
maybe
was,
started as
it
web
was all
series.
taking the piss out of like very West Coast hipsters.
Yeah.
It was memeing that culture.
Hilarious clips.
And
that
they
I've seen
had
from
this
that.
whole series called Put a Bird on It, where it was just like making stuff, you know, more peaceful, more vibrant. Put a bird on it. And I feel like that applies to video game
I think
humor.
so,
Is
'cause, I
your
mean, we've
game
already
not
talked
funny
about
enough? Put a bird on it.
Untitled Goose Game, Hatful Boyfriend. Now Guacamelee has chickens. That's
And
all you need.
The funniest character in Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, King Chicken.
Oh my God.
The specialty unlockable character that I couldn't unlock myself, so obviously my brother had to unlock him for me. He's the best one. Oh, King Chicken.
Man, so yeah, that's some good ones there. So I was kind of going into this kind of being like, do I even play funny games? But I guess I do. But this did make me think of, though, one game that I feel like that I just want to experience for maybe its cringe factor, but also because it's funny, but it's also an older one, is totally went Cronker's Bad Fur Day. The
Oh, yeah.
the like N64 game that's like rated M because of like the humor
the
and stuff like
raunchy
that.
humor.
The raunchy humor.
Yeah.
In it. So like I kind of want to see what that one's about too. Maybe a little too dated at this point too.
I watched somebody stream that years ago, and I was like,
Not for you.
it didn't hold up. Like that's the thing, is that sort of type of humor had its day, and I feel like it has really expired. So
sure.
it just, none of the jokes landed. Even the streamer was like, ugh.
Don't do this. So yeah, I just remembered that one too, and I was like, oh yeah, that's one that would probably be on somebody's list, but no, I haven't played that one, so I can't really speak to it.
So the last game that I want to obviously talk more in depth about, because I took the most notes on it, and I've also played it, I finished at least 2 to 3 of the storylines, obviously Hatful Boyfriend. So for anybody that's not familiar with what Hatful Boyfriend is, it is a pigeon dating sim. It's an avian dating sim game.
Oh,
So
too good.
It's really common now for comedic games of a type, and in a lot of cases sort of genre satire games, to have this visual novel comedy style. Dream Daddy.
Oh, Dream Daddy.
What's the other one? Oh, Doki Doki Literature Club, which isn't technically comedy.
The Overwatch.
Oh yeah, the Overwatch
Dating
dating sim. Dating sims, by and large, at least in the West, have very much been positioned to be comedy games.
Yeah.
That's really not true in a lot of in Japan and a lot of other cultures. A lot of them approach dating sims with more sincerity, or not even sincerity, just pure sexual power. Those dating sims are there for one purpose and one purpose alone.
To get you horny.
To get you horny. But that's all really recent.
Right.
It used to just be that dating sims were like, or visual novels, as most people might call them, were pretty... Oh, the Cthulhu game, the Cthulhu dating sim.
What's this one?
Oh, God. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's literally a Cthulhu dating sim where you're just like some random guy, and Cthulhu comes to Earth as one of the death gods is wont to.
Sure.
But in the form of like a cute Cthulhu girl. So like it's the Cthulhu face, like with the tentacles and all that, but with a really cute personality and like cute fun hair and a cute little dress. But she's still gonna destroy. She's a cosmic horror.
Someone's into that.
Oh yeah, plenty of people are into that, which is why they made the game, and it's incredible.
It's called art.
Yes. Okay. Sure. Anyways, you get my gist. Is that there's this wave of these comedy-centered dating sims that are built around the idea of the ridiculous. But that was not always the case.
Yeah.
Hatoful Boyfriend was one of the first visual novels that took that genre in a whole new direction. So Hatoful Boyfriend technically is the officially released game that is a direct expansion / follow-up to a popular Flash game created by manga circle Pidgeot Nation. That was their
Fan of pigeons, I bet.
Fan of pigeons, I bet. Pidgeot Nation as an April Fool's Day joke. So they put this Flash game up on their website of like, hey, date pigeons. How fucking funny is that?
Yeah.
And it was so popular it crashed their site.
Oh my God.
So they were like, oh God, okay, people love this.
We gotta obviously capitalize on this.
And this was back in 2011.
Oh wow.
So April 2011, Hatoful Boyfriend goes up, April 1st, 2011, Hatoful Boyfriend goes up on the web as a Flash game, crashes the site. They're like, we're sitting on a pot of pigeon gold here. I think in October of that year. Obviously, visual novels are not exactly difficult to make per se compared to the Red Deads of the world and the Last of Us's. They're a little bit easier.
I don't know. I feel like development time's probably on par.
Yeah. But obviously, since you've got a bunch of manga writers behind the scenes writing all the dialogue, they're going to have an easier time of it.
Sure.
They're already good at what they do. So it released officially, I think, in October of 2011 in Japan. I think that for a long time, they were like, no one in the West is going to play this game. So it didn't release in the West for a long, long time. Until I think about 2014, our good friends, Devolver Digital.
Look at them.
Those absolute champions. They were like, people will
We
love
obviously
this.
we need to get somebody from Devolver on this show.
We
talk
find
about them
one
and
of
sing
them.
their praises
Yeah.
all the damn time.
We gotta find somebody.
It's time.
Anyways, well, they are technically just the publisher. We would have. Anyway,
There's somebody there.
They've got a clear creative direction.
Yeah.
So back in 2014, before they were even as memefully funny as they are now, they were like, Hatoful Boyfriend, that looks like our business. We want that game in our catalog. So they published it in the West. And I'm going to read you a big, long couple paragraphs here because the setting for Hatoful Boyfriend, the environment that you're playing in is the humor. It's where all the humor comes from. So Hatoful Boyfriend is set in an alternate version of Earth in which sapient birds have seemingly taken the place of humans in society for reasons that are hinted at but not fully explained in the dating simulation portion of the game.
Okay.
However, this is a bit of a spoiler, so tune out if you want to play Hatoful Boyfriend yourself. In Bad Boys Love, which is an expansion that they released a few months or a couple of years after the official one came out, in Bad Boys Love, it is revealed that Hatoful Boyfriend is set in a post-apocalyptic dystopian future in which a this part right.
It's too real.
I know, it's too
like
real.
This isn't
is
funny
so
anymore.
far ahead of its time, in which a pandemic of a deadly mutated strain of the H5N1 virus, the bird flu, in which a mutated strain of the bird flu nearly wipes out mankind in the year 2068. Bitch, it happened way sooner than that. You got your timeline
We're running out of
wrong.
time. 2068's around the corner.
The release of a counter-virus cultivated to destroy the virus's avian carriers in an attempt to stop the spread of the disease ends up backfiring as birds who resisted the counter-virus instead developed human-level intelligence. War soon breaks out. Right?
This is not where I thought this was going.
Oh, it sure is. War soon breaks out between the newly uplifted birds and the remnants of humanity, resulting in birds emerging as the planet's new dominant life forms as humans continue to succumb to the disease. Following several terrorist attacks by human Right.
Where are the baddies in this?
Following several terrorist attacks by a human insurgency, all remaining humans have been forced to live in the wilderness away from civilization in a form of apartheid-like segregation.
God. This is literally Planet of the Apes, but pigeons.
It really is. The game's story takes place primarily at the fictional St. Pidgeonations Institute, the fancy high school that you go to. Well, there's a big parenthesis.
So all this
there.
to say,
long after open warfare between humans and birds has ended.
Okay.
So society has adjusted to the new bird-based culture. That's how the game sets itself up.
and then I just love that you get this incredibly dark lore, and then it's just like, here you are in bird high school, make
So
friends
here's the
and fall in
thing:
love.
is that if you've actually played the game, you know that stuff is under the surface.
Yeah.
But the game plays its cards very straight at first. I don't know if you remember. I'm sure this was literally years ago. But when I first talked about, I think I reviewed Hotful Boyfriend. I mentioned that it is extremely jarring that your character, you play as a human girl going to this pigeon high school, she wakes up every day in a cave in the wilderness. And it's like, huh, that's kind of weird.
So wait, you're not pigeons dating other pigeons in this game.
You're
a human girl dating
pigeons. Yes. And you live out in the wilderness in a cave.
It's called art.
It's called art, people. And your character is constantly making these observations about the world that at first seem like they're just funny, right? They're like funny quips like, why does your character live in a cave? And she like makes jokes about having to catch breakfast, literally, because she is a hunter-gatherer stage human. She has to go out and physically kill or catch something to be able to eat that day. And she's like, man, it sure is cold and rainy outside. Can barely keep the rain out of my cave opening. And it's oh my God, it's really dark.
I did not realize it went to this depth.
The further you get into it, and as you start, developing more relationships with the various birds, more and more of the story, it's all about replay value.
Yeah.
So you obviously play through the game the first time, and you wind up romancing one of the bird characters. The next time, you kind of get the gist of it, and you're like, okay, I'm going to pick totally different paths through my dialogue options, and get different birds as a result. The more and more birds that you sort of unlock, for lack of a better word, the more you build out that world that I just described. And the game does it in such a, I want to really say, kind of well-paced way. A lot of people complain that the game is too slow.
Yeah.
I would bet that a lot of those people aren't necessarily fans of the visual novel format.
Sure.
Because that's par for the course for the visual novel. So the gameplay isn't the gameplay isn't what you're there for. You're there for the high art, the high comedic Juilliard could not produce any artiste, any comedy performance artist that could do a better John Mulaney wishes he could be that funny. God. Oh, Hotful Boyfriend is truly the height of comedy, and the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I gotta go keep playing more of those bird stories.
When was the last time you played this?
It was years ago.
You gotta go back and get that 100% completion.
So the first bird that I accidentally romanced was my teacher. Oops.
Again.
and the trophy that you get for it, because I was playing on PlayStation, the title of the achievement that you get for getting the teacher's story is called "I'll Wait for You," because the teacher's gonna wait for you to be old enough to date.
What the fuck?
So funny.
Jesus Christ.
It's hilarious. So my point is, Hotful Boyfriend is the funniest game ever made, and everyone should go play it. Oh boy.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's fucking wild.
Man.
I also think that many of the newer visual novels that sort of took cues from Hotful Boyfriend have not managed to do it as well. I play a fair amount of visual novels, comedy visual novels, Monster Prom, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it's like, okay, they kind of get into the humorous side of it, but I don't think any of them do as good of a job at building the aggressive dystopian horror that Hotful Boyfriend really has.
Yeah,
beneath the surface.
It's dark. You really went for the dark humor angle on that one.
Plus, layer that in with all of the bird puns.
Oh, for sure.
So funny. Birds are hilarious.
We do need to check out, for our scientific research that we're doing about bird games being the funniest games, we need to play Skate Burb.
We do need to play skate.
Is it just Skatebird?
It's Skatebird.
Skatebird.
We close enough. Skatebird. It's all the same. It's all birds on skateboards.
Our skateboarding birds funny.
We should just play every bird-based game and then do an ultimate bird video game tier list.
Oh my god! I believe we found our next series.
I think we have. Yeah, I think we have. I've never subjected you and Sam to my favorite board game, Wingspan, which we affectionately just called Bird Game.
Oh, hell yeah, let's play it.
You say that now.
Well, I hate it.
No, you might like it. Okay. I don't know. I greatly enjoy it.
Okay. And I'll give it a shot.
Everyone that can actually manage to sit through the rules long enough to... See, Sam's the one I'm worried about because Sam doesn't like rules. She doesn't like reading. She doesn't enjoy... I mean, she does like reading, but you know what I mean. Yeah. She's not a fan of any video game that is highly text-based. She can't stand that. So I worry that Bird Game might be a little too much upfront investment.
Maybe we get it in like a group setting or something like that.
Plus, we learned at the last supper club that Michael and Angela both hate birds. So
Sam is too. Not a huge fan of birds, Sam is.
People these days. Oh my god. My point is, bird-based games are the height of comedy.
Sorry, Ark, we're overtaking your topic and replacing it with funniest bird games.
Yeah,
because that's pretty much what this episode turned into. But, I mean, hey, lots of great, hilarious, funny games out there for everyone to enjoy. And I'm sure we barely scratched the surface, and there are some that people are looking at this going... what? You forgot XYZ. Yeah, shaking their fists, mad, unsubscribing, all that stuff. But, you know, those are some of our favorite comedic games. It was just a very fun side list to go down and do. But obviously, we would like to hear your favorite comedic games as well. So let us know what those are in the comments below. Join our Discord, talk about it with us there, or, you know, send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. And guess what? All those places that I just said you can contact us is where you could also submit ideas for other future shows. So hit us up and let us know what you would like to hear us talk about, and you know, we'll add them to the list. And
it'll only take us 4 years to get to your topic.
That's right. And also, since we kind of like dropped hints to it and alluded to it, we are at this. I think this is either episode 293 or 94. So we're getting close.
We're getting close.
Within 5 to 6 episodes of episode 300. We are trying to decide what we want to do to celebrate such a momentous occasion. So, you know, we're thinking like a stream day, fun special episode, stuff like that. Let us know if you have any fun ideas. If there's something we did, way back in episode 10 that you're like, that shit was the best, and I would love to see that come back.
A bunch of old
to do some like fun random thing, or just something new that you would like to see us do. We're all ears. Like, you know, we obviously would not have made it to episode 300 without all of you sticking around and listening to it with us. So it would be fun to like kind of do have some like fun community input on how we should celebrate our 300th episode.
This is obviously not realistic at all because we literally don't have time for it as human beings. But we should go back, rewatch/listen to every episode that still had Zach in it.
Yes.
And then rank all of Zach's rankings of games. Like, get very meta with it. He did a shit job with that one.
Talking about Grand Theft Auto 3 again.
God. Again. How many times can you talk about Halo? Oh, that would be really funny.
Love that guy. I miss that guy.
Yeah, we really do. He was a good guy. I assume he's dead now. He's not. He's
still
fine.
alive and thriving. Don't
thriving.
worry. Don't worry. But yeah, so you know, if you have any fun ideas for that, send them our way because we would love to hear them. But I think with that, everybody, that concludes this episode of Team Chat Podcast. Come back next week for another great episode. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Adios.